As Mr. Leontis has mentioned many times, this has become a global phenomenon. And now this is connected to the most popular, or arguably one of the most popular sports leagues in the world in the NBA. And a big part of that is the NBA 2K League. And so I would like to welcome to discuss the state of the NBA 2K League, the introduction, and the excitement surrounding it, Brendan Donohue, the managing director of the NBA 2K League. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks very much. And I want to thank Ted. For those who don't realize, in the sports world, he is a very well-respected sports executive and owner who's had the foresight at really getting ahead of this curve. And you see their investment in esports more broadly is shown by that. And so I'm thrilled to talk to you tonight about the 2K League, the NBA 2K League. And I always think it's best to share why we're excited as a league about this operation. I want to first let you know why I personally am excited. So I've been involved in the NBA for 21 years now. Actually, I spent 13 years on the team side, kind of growing up in the sales and marketing side. And then I spent the last 8 years actually working at the NBA office, really helping teams share best practices and help them drive their business. So kind of the sports business piece has kind of been a part of my DNA, for a couple decades. But what you wouldn't know about me, and how could you, is if you went to my house on a normal weekend, on a Saturday or Sunday, you're likely to see this. So this is me and my 11-year-old Carter. Getting after it in our gaming chairs. And just like, my father would take me to sporting events as a kid and we'd sit and talk about things, this is our universe. For a long time now, this is our normal Saturday and Sunday. We get after, we're playing 2K, we're playing Overwatch, we're playing other video games. But I think what's cool about Carter's situation is that he knows about the NBA actually through 2K. He knows about the players through 2K. He knows about who's good. He knows about stats actually through 2K, which is remarkable. But it speaks really to the larger opportunity that this league presents. The new doors that it kind of get opened through the NBA 2K League. And I'll show you a couple examples of that. First off, we have on social media, we have 1.4 billion people across the globe that follow the NBA. That now we have a new way to engage them. Many of them are actually outside of North America, and it's a great way for us to engage them. Secondly, there's nearly 200 million esports enthusiasts, across numerous different titles. This is an opportunity for us to engage them, and an opportunity for all of you in the room as partners to engage them. And that brings us to the last point, which is the sponsorship opportunity. This gives us an opportunity to get in front of an audience, quite honestly, that's been becoming harder and harder for us to get in front of and engage with. So this is all of these really encapsulate the opportunity that we think the NBA 2K League can capture. So I don't want to jump ahead too far. So I want to first start by what exactly are we doing? So what we're doing, there are over 10 million people that are playing NBA 2K League across the world. We are going to find the best 85 NBA 2K players on the planet and bring them together to compete at the highest level. That is what we're at its core. That's exactly what we're doing with this league. And we're thrilled about the opportunity we think that level of competition will draw in fans. And it's very funny. Oftentimes when I tell people about what we're doing, I'm often asked the question, do you really think people will watch other people play video games? Do you think people will do that? And it cracks me up, because I turn it back on them. I'm like, okay, so answer me this question, though. What do you watch at home on a normal week? And invariably, I hear about shows like this. I couldn't, my idea of cooking a good meal is making cereal. Yet once a week, I'm finding myself and my wife watching Chopped, or watching, things such as, Property Brothers, buying and selling. These are some of the most popular shows on TV, and it just speaks to the whole notion that the elite at anything draws in an audience. And this isn't just us having blind optimism. We actually, those of you who don't realize, last year we actually hosted an esports tournament. We hosted the Road to All-Star. And what the Road to All-Star was, we actually had 500,000 competitors at the start of the tournament, 5 people on a team, 100,000 teams. And all of them, it all was a tournament that led to the All-Star game last year in New Orleans. And we streamed the finals, and there were 2 million viewers who watched that. So by no means is this blind optimism. We think this is going to work. We've seen it work now, and it's just kind of one of the things that kind of brought us to this point of being bullish about actually bringing this to life. And so why are we getting into this, and why is a good marriage? This actually has been a long time in the making, and Ted did a good job kind of walking us through some of the timeline and through their investment in broader esports. But the 2K game itself has really been leading towards esports now for almost a decade. So about 7 years ago, they allowed people who played 2K to create their own character and actually go in and create their own player, make them look however they wanted, and they called the My Career mode. And then 3 years ago, they took one big step, which was they created Pro-Am, which actually enables players to play 5-on-5 against 9 other human beings. And now that's kind of all led to esports. And then on the flip side, our owners, people like Ted, have led the NBA into this as well. So I don't know if you've seen, but the League of Legends actually is one of the most popular games out there. They just awarded 10 teams to their league they're launching next year. 7 of those teams are actually will be owned by NBA teams, or NBA owners, I should say. So it just speaks to kind of the foresight that our NBA owners have in attacking this opportunity. And the last reason why we're very bullish on this is the success of 2K itself. So you look here. This just shows kind of the hockey stick growth that we're having in terms of the 2K's game sales. This past year sold over 9 million copies. It's actually the best-selling game of all the major sports leagues in North America. And actually this year it's pacing ahead of even the record pace they set last year. So over 9 million copies of the game sold. But what you can't see on here is what's going on in addition to this, which is they offer a free version of the game in China through our partner in Tencent. And there are 35 million registered users of that game in China, which just speaks to the global appetite for the game and kind of the potential exposure you can get through the NBA 2K League team here in DC. And so who is the audience? And I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we have of the 9 million people who own the game, 1.6 million are playing every day for on average 90 minutes a day. 1.6 million playing every day for on average 90 minutes a day. So that's our core audience. And we know we're going to get, and we're going to make sure we treat that community the right way and get them passionate about the league. But in addition, there's another 155 million core NBA fans and nearly 200 million esports enthusiasts that we think, with a thoughtful approach, we can bring them into the fold and expose them to the 2K League. And those are the type of audiences that potentially partners would have access to. So why did we partner with 2K? Obviously, we created a game with them, but I can tell you now, I'm working very closely with the folks at 2K, and the one thing I can tell you is clear right away is that the NBA, we consider ourselves to be a very innovative brand. 2K shares that DNA with us. Whether it is they allow the facial recognition they allow in the game would actually allow, if you play the game, you can actually put your face on your player. But in addition to that, just by show of hands, who's played the 2K18 game? All right, we got to make sure we change that. We got to get more people playing. But what they launched this year is called the Neighborhood. And what the Neighborhood is, it's remarkable. And they'll have it on actually here if you want to check it out later. You can, as a player, you can create your own player. Then you can walk through the neighborhood. You can lift weights to improve your player's strength. You can go into the practice facility and do drills to improve your skills. You can go talk to your agent. You can go play pickup basketball. It's a completely immersive experience. And all of these are incredible opportunities. And 2K has great sponsorship activation this way. And then clearly the NBA as well. I mean, last year we launched our VR Game of the Week, showing off some of our innovation. And then this year with Nike, we brought out the connected jersey. And the connected jersey actually allows you with your mobile device to engage with exclusive content. If your favorite player is John Wall, you can check out his playlist that he warms up to. It allows you just to engage on a next level, through technology. The other thing I think is very important as it relates to the NBA and 2K is dive into esports is one of the advantages I think we have is that we are really at the intersection of culture with this game. I mean, the NBA and 2K it's a lifestyle brand. So whether it's the players and their excitement about the game, whether if you play the game, it's the music you hear, it's the culture, it's fashion, all these things. And so we definitely feel like we're bringing that lifestyle brand forward to the 2K League, which I think will separate us potentially from the rest of esports. So now we'll get to the kind of the brass tacks of the league itself. So as you can see here, 17 teams jumped on board right out of the gates. And I can tell you we've had 3 or 4 other teams that are already interested in getting involved in year 2. So we would expect to expand pretty quickly. A couple of key things to know about the league. First off, oftentimes when you see people play sports video games, they're playing one-on-one. Actually, this league is going to be 5-on-5. So every team is going to have 5 players. So imagine 5 players playing 5 other players, controlling every player on the virtual court. So I mean, it truly, there's no artificial intelligence whatsoever in the game, which truly makes it uniquely an e-sport. Secondly, in year 1, we're going to be playing in a central studio or 2. So while the Washington team will be here in the marketplace, their players will be practicing and doing grassroots events here in the market, we will actually fly all 17 teams into a central studio or 2 during the season for all competitive games. And then third, and this is a very important piece, this is not LeBron James versus Steph Curry. This is not John Wall versus Kevin Durant. In order for us to have a balanced gameplay, we actually have our 85 players will be controlling their own avatar in the game. Because you can't have LeBron James playing against the 5th best starter on another team and have that be fair. So all the players will be controlling on a level basis. That way, the only thing truly separating them will be their stick skills. So now the timeline. So we're just roughly a month away. So in 2018, we will kick off. We will allow people to actually try out for the league, and they'll be able to try out actually online through the game. And so through that process, we may have several 100,000 people trying out for the league, and we're looking to find the best 85 players in the world. And then in March, we're actually going to have a draft. So the 17 teams will get together, and they will draft their 5 players, and they'll be determining who the 85 players are in the league. We expect by early in April, we'll have all the players actually in the 17 markets, and then we'll kick off the season in May. And so and the season will be 15 weeks long, and then 2 weeks of playoffs, so 17 weeks in total, with the finals being in mid to late August. And the other thing I'd say, too, about the actual schedule itself is we wanted to take the best of the NBA and the best of esports in doing this. So you'll see a mix of certain weeks we'll have regular season games, and then other weeks we'll have tournaments. Whether it's March Madness style tournaments or maybe tournaments like EPL in terms of round robin play. So then as it relates to partners, so I think oftentimes people assume that it's headsets or consoles where those types of sponsors are actually getting involved in esports. But actually, that's not the truth at all. In fact, this is just a cross-section of different partners that are already involved in esports in some fashion. And many of them we're talking to now. But this is more of a broad picture of esports more broadly. But I have been involved in many of the conversations that we're having in terms of partners and figuring out how to get involved with the 2K League. And I want to just share some of the feedback we've gotten from partners like yourself as they think about how can they thoughtfully approach esports with the help of folks like the Wizards. A couple of things have come out. One is, you see to the left of the screen here, in traditional esports, oftentimes, if you've never played the game before, it can be very intimidating. It can be very intimidating to get a grasp of it, and as you're watching, understand what's going on. Whereas you look on the right-hand side of the 2K League game, it's no different. It's one of the most globally recognized games in the world, and it's very easy to kind of figure out for even a casual fan. So that's one thing that our partners do like. The other one, which is very apparent, is you see on the scores table, you see the Mountain Dew sign. It is super easy for us and very organic for us to activate partnerships in our game. It would actually feel more strange to not have courtside signage in the 2K experience. So it's very easy for us and the folks at the Wizards to kind of activate and integrate you into the game experience. And the last thing I would say that we're hearing from partners is they like the fact that we're rated E for everyone. We are a very fan-friendly, very family-friendly game, and they're very proud to put, insert partner here, their logo next to the NBA 2K League logo as well. So just some of the things we've been hearing from partners as we've talking to them. But I will say that we're certainly not just selling signage. The one thing I can tell you is there are endless amounts of content opportunities for partners to attach themselves to. Endless amounts. Whether it's our studio, there's plenty of opportunities there. There's opportunities in the virtual game itself. The stories of our gamers. I can't tell you how many different publications and people that are interested in hearing about the story of the equivalent of hoop dreams for esports. The player going from their house to pick your NBA city here to being a professional athlete. All of those stories are things we can attach attach content and partners to. And then the last thing I think I'd say, in terms of the community itself, I think the traditional sports can learn. The one thing they can learn the most from esports is access and the level of access they give to their community. So imagine, the best player on the Wizards NBA 2K League team, giving access to show how they run a pick and roll, how do they stop a great offensive player from scoring. All of those are the types of things that we now can, through streaming and we can give access to our fans and actually teach them how to play better in their own game. It's a really unique thing. You imagine the ability to, for John Wall to teach you how to shoot threes. That's exactly what we can do through the virtual experience through 2K. So I'm happy to answer questions in a moment, but I don't want to leave you just a couple kind of key takeaways. One is, I mentioned with my 11-year-old son, whether it is the access to esports fans, access to NBA fans, or access to 2K players themselves. There's a multitude of new opportunities and new doors that are opened through the 2K League. Secondly, 2K is a great partner for us in this. It is a great marriage, and a lot of that is based on the fact that they have an endless thirst to innovate. And whether it is season 1, season 2, season 3, they are going to continue to push us as a partner to make sure we're always staying ahead of the curve and being cutting edge, like Ted mentioned earlier. And lastly is, we know what a successful league looks like. And whether it is trying to activate partners, or how to do dynamic storytelling. These are all things that are in our wheelhouse from having done it for the last 70+ years at the NBA. So this is just another chance for us to help our partners enter into a new space. And so we're excited to do that with all of you. So if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer. But with that, that's all I got. Questions?
So we can have one or two questions real quick, and then we'll continue with the program. Yeah, right here.
So all I can speak to is how the NBA 2K League will approach it. We're really, we're not engaging. At the very beginning, we're going to sit on the sideline and see, kind of how our league progresses, and we're going to choose, at least in year one, to sit on the sideline and not pursue that.
Okay, well, you will be around after for a little bit to answer any questions if you don't want to ask them in the grand opening here. But thank you again to Brendan.